Okay, it'll probably ask you to accept that I'm
Yeah,
recording this.
got it.
Okay. Well, welcome to another episode of B2B Marketing Methods. Today, I'm really excited to have as our guest Michael Ballero. Michael is a national account manager with a company called Gen Z Automotive. And I'm really excited to have him here. I think he's a pretty unique guest that we've had on so far. But today, Michael and I are going to be talking about a number of different things, but some of the major topics we're going to be talking about are just the automotive industry in general. We're going to talk about how financing is changing, investments into that industry are changing and evolving. Everybody knows that's a kind of a major part of the economy right now for all of us. We're going to be talking about like his approach to sales in that industry for the product that his company sells. We're going to be talking about his work-life balance, something very easy for all of us to kind of lose track of. We're going to be talking about social media and how he uses that as a strategy. And we're also going to be talking about everyone's favorite topic these days, AI and ChatGPT. All of us are hopefully continuing to learn, how to use a tool like that to improve our productivity and improve our day. So, anyway, lots of fun topics to dig into. Michael, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. So let's jump in and start by getting to know you a little bit. Can you tell us, how you landed in your current role, and maybe give us a little bit of background on your career path there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start from the beginning when I got into car business, and I'll make it brief, I promise. I got in the car business. I was drafted in the car business, if you will, by my father-in-law. At the time, I was dating my wife.
Hmm.
We're from Miami, Florida, originally moved to Dallas in '97, but in '95, October of '95, I was told to go meet my father-in-law at the car lot, and I did. And that's where my journey in the car business began. We moved to Dallas in '97. Was dating my wife at the time, and I just went from working in sales to service, and then started working my way into management, predominantly used cars. And I had a really beautiful career. I met so many fantastic people over the years, and I've learned so much. I say I'm in the Green Pea Club for life because it's the easiest way. I never know too much, but I always want to learn more. And so
Wait, tell me the name. What did you call? What's the name of the club?
the Green Pea Club. It's not official. It's I say that I'm in the Green Pea Club, and we call each other Green Peas. When a new guy shows up in the business, he's a Green
Got
Pea,
it.
right?
Okay.
But that's the way I've always tried to be. Because I learned that not if you know too much, then you get a little complacent, and you feel like you're above things, if you will.
Lose
So I've always,
humility.
yeah, you have, yeah, humility is the factor.
Hmm.
In 2012, that was my last official year in the retail space. I was working with a man that I dearly love in the car business, and we parted ways. And I went on this journey in 2012, where I went probably on 13 or 14 different interviews, and I could not get a job back in the car business. And I was crushed. I went for 91 days. As a matter of fact, it's the first time I've ever collected unemployment. I'm being sincere about that.
Hmm.
And I felt sick when I saw the check that I got. And please, don't misunderstand me. It's not because I wasn't grateful. It's just because I had to ask for that in order to make it, and it was hard. It was a punch in the stomach. But I found a great opportunity on the 91st day. So a few things happened. Number one, I started coaching soccer in the summer of 2012, and we deemed that to be the best summer ever. It's something we say in our household that 2012 was the best summer ever because it allowed me to pivot from the retail automotive space into this new world of vendorship. And I got this opportunity with a young company at the time that was in the key cutting space, uh, mobile key cutting services, dealer key cutting services. And I found that I had a knack for it because I knew that always relationships were the thing that I was the best at. I felt like I've always been good at just kind of getting to know people and befriending them. And so as I did that for the next 8 years, I grew a business that was in the six-figure revenue for that first year into a multi-million-dollar business. And I say that not boastfully. I say that because it was a lot of hard work, and I'm proud of it.
Hmm.
And I worked with such a massive group of guys. These guys that really built the business, and I was just there to serve them. In 2020, dead smack in the middle of COVID, I had no plan, but I knew I didn't want to stay with that company any longer. Um, and so I resigned in person, and I didn't have anything. I was back to kind of square one. I was used to making X, and now I knew that I had wanted to find something in the vendor world, but I didn't know necessarily if I wanted to kind of go back in that space. So I had this wild message from a gentleman that I work with now in LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And you know how the car business is. If you're familiar with the car business, it's we have a way of networking. Hey, this guy's looking for an opportunity. Hey, can you keep your ear out? And somehow, some way, they reached out to me, and we were selling a product at the beginning when I got hired on called Key Fetch,
Hmm.
as a lost and found key retrieval service that's coupled with the service contract. And that first 6 months of COVID and the whole thing that we were going through in this world in 2012 was wild, as you know. Uh, I couldn't even go out and prospect at dealerships, but the team of people that I was working around and working with on a daily basis, I knew that they were the right people to be with. And we built this business very similarly to what I did in 2012 with my previous employer, kind of ground up, knocking on doors. And in 2021, we partnered with a major automotive group, a Fortune 300 company. And that really helped us scale our business and grow and learn and just really just as a young company, a new company, 10 years or less in the business, up against the big guys. I knew that the only thing that I had was I had relationships. And so I really built that. And a team of us went out and did this. And here we are now. In 2025, we had a rebranding of the company, and we went from just being called Key Fetch to Gen Z. Funny story about that. The owner of our company bought that domain back in 2000, 2001. He just said you know what? I think he said back then, I think this could be something,
He was
and
onto something.
he
Yeah.
was onto something.
Yeah.
He's been offered a pretty penny for it. So now we're Gen Z Auto. We're a company that services the automotive industry, not only with F&I solutions, but with also EV solutions. We're in the charging space as well,
Okay.
and it's been really beautiful. So I know that was a little long winded, but hopefully your audience will get some value out of that.
Oh, no, for sure. I think it's one of the things that's interesting for me as I look for guests to have on is that even though there's a lot of variety in the companies that my guests work for, there's a lot of consistencies as well, right? Like just in
Mm,
listening to your path there, as a marketer, I'm picking up on certain things like you went places where there was a clear value proposition. For you as somebody who is in a sales role, that's
right.
pretty important, right? You need to know I've got a proposition that I can get out there and evangelize. I'm going to leverage my relationships. I'm going to look at how I'm positioning myself and the
Hmm.
company that I'm working for, and B2C sales, retail sales, and B2B sales. Like if you're a vendor selling to the dealerships, that's a totally different business model, but you
Yeah.
can take all those same skills and apply them in that other
Oh
environment
yeah.
to grow, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, one of the other themes I'm picking up on, we haven't really talked about how marketing integrates in to the approach that you take every day, but in the B2B space, marketing can't operate on its own, and sales can operate on its own, but it can be more successful if it's complemented,
Right.
with good, solid branding and marketing. And so, if you wouldn't mind, I'd kind of like to talk about that a little bit. And I'm mindful of the things we promised the audience that we were going to be talking about today,
Sure.
but maybe you can talk a little bit about social media in particular and how you view that tool and that avenue as a help to you as a salesperson.
Absolutely. I'll tell you. Here's the story behind it. I never really utilized any of the platforms that, I engage with people on a routine basis, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it might be, Instagram, as a means of propping myself up or saying, hey, here's my USP, here's what I'm doing. Because I always felt like awkward about it, right? In 2020, here we are back to 2020 when the world stood still. Yeah, a really, really popular app came out called TikTok. It was formerly Musically, right? And I was I was recording videos because I'm very, very curious about technology and its many uses. And so my son's like, Dad, what are you trying to do with TikTok? I was like, oh, at that time, I think I was recording videos of our dog. It was nothing,
Yeah.
And I said, well, ideally, I'd like to get the attention of people in the car business. I don't want to come across as like, me just pitching or sales. It's not going to work. I certainly wouldn't pay attention to that. He's like, so then why don't you do videos about like cars? Because you love cars and just come up with random topics. So I was like, okay. And so my son is giving me these pieces of advice at the time. He's 15 years old. And so I start doing like, here are the top 10, most expensive exotic cars on the planet. Here's the top most expensive, exotic car ever sold. Here's the top 10 selling Hondas in America in 2021. And I started doing this and learning like not only like just the usage of each platform, but specifically in this case, TikTok. But then understanding like hooks and how to get the message across and controversy and entertainment, etc. All these little pillars of content creation. And I started amassing a group of people that wanted to watch my videos. And to the tune of now, I think I have maybe like 55 or 56,000. But I'll tell you, shamefully, I haven't grown since then. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But I amassed that following within a year and a half, and there wasn't a lot of people in the car business at that time in 2021 that were even considering it. Now
Yeah.
it's being
Now it's
used,
flooded.
now it's being used in its proper fashion. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how to just get attention without really telling anyone what it is that I'm trying to get attention for, or why I might want to meet them, or why I might be useful to them or my services. And so I found that making content around the industry that I love indirectly gets eyeballs on you. And
Hmm.
attention is the commodity, right? So TikTok and like others, but this app specifically, TikTok, that I'm speaking about, I think that you have the highest chance of, because number one, it's free, so you don't have to pay for it. People say, yeah, well, the time invested, it can be time consuming, which is to my point. I'm the worst at it. I want to sit on a video for 20 minutes and edit. And eventually I just kind of gave up afterwards because I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I got to get back to my job. I judge myself probably way too much, which is what's the problem. But yeah, look, I think getting in front of the audience is the key, right? And no one's buying full pages in a newspaper, which makes me sad, right? Because I still believe in media like that. But we used to do that. We used to buy a full page ad in the car business, Saturday morning news, right? $20,000, $30,000 ad.
Yeah.
Or now, if you can do video content enough and just get out there and get in front of people that are already looking to connect with people like you in the space, it may cost you a little bit of time, but it could really, really benefit you in the long run. Because if you can build a following and build a brand, people are going to want to get to know you naturally.
Yeah. Did you see any correlation or relationship between the audience you built on TikTok and your, goals when it comes to prospecting and selling to your audience?
At first, I didn't, because again, I think back, like if you look at 2020, 2021, even like as adults, like we were looking at it like, is this a kids app? Is this
Yeah.
a teenager's app? What is this really about? And where I really didn't care, so I was just messing around with it. So at the beginning, no, I did connect with a large automotive community. I had people and plus I was getting, at that time, especially, I had a lot of companies reaching out to me, wanting me to promote their products and stuff like that. But I'm just not that kind of guy. Like, I'm fixed on what I'm doing, and to somebody else that may be a great venture to go down, and they can make a lot of money doing it, as we know that. But to me, I was just wanting to connect with people. So at first, no, but then as 2022 and a half, 23 rolled around, and now 2024, I started utilizing it a little bit on Facebook. Even I did these silly little lip sync routines from some old something that I found that everyone knew and loved back in the day. And it caught millions and millions of views. And then I walked into a dealership one day, and I kid you not, the general manager of a dealership was like, "Dude, I just saw you on Facebook." I was like, "Me? I don't even know this guy."
Yeah.
And I was actually coming. I was there actually coincidentally see him. So yeah, I have seen it convert now. If I'm out in the market, people were like, "Ballero, those videos you used to do are funny. Why don't you do them?" Or we talk, and and it just all it does is just makes me relevant, and aware. Like people are aware of perhaps in some cases who I might be, and not that I'm famous, but
Yeah.
it just takes that one guy to remember you, and you know, it didn't cost me anything for that to happen.
Well, I think that that's super interesting. It almost sounds like TikTok helped you develop the maybe like the discipline and the habit, and
Mhm.
then you figured out, well, maybe my business audience is actually on Facebook. That's where I might be able to like figure out how to take these habits I started to build on TikTok, take it over to Facebook, and it what's interesting is that you leaned into your personality, you leaned into your kind of personal brand
Mm.
to help stand out because it doesn't matter what all these new channels are. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And
That's right.
so that helped you. It sounds like out of those three, it helped that likability,
Hmm.
and relatability really blossom for you with a new audience, which is that's cool. So every brand doesn't have to do it the way you did it, but you looked at
Correct.
it as a tool to connect and help people get to know who you are as a person and as a brand more.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and I think as a vendor, it's probably, at least this is the way I look at it.
Hmm.
It's probably more difficult for me as a vendor, I think, to connect with, GMs, GSMs, finance managers, dealer principals on those types of apps. Um, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't have an answer. It may be stigma. I don't know. It could be a variety of things. But it did. It taught me a lot of that. And I think that also too, it's helped me like on LinkedIn, for example, and Facebook, where Facebook, if you make a connection with people, it's probably because you have a general, friendship or relationship. You're normally not, trying to request,
Yeah.
but on LinkedIn it's different. It's business. Hey, I don't know you. I'd like to get to know you, or maybe we have an interest in the same thing. And so one thing that I found was pretty useful, and I want to plug this in there, is that over the last like year or 2 years, if you go to my LinkedIn page, you'll see like, you know, some of the dealerships that we service, for example. Like I want to promote them in a healthy way because I love the car business. I really do. We're not. I mean, we get punched in the stomach a lot, but it's filled with really amazing people. It just is, and
Yeah.
everything I've learned from people in the car business, and so hard, and they're hardworking too. Some of the hardest workers I know. But what I would do is I'd go to a dealership that we're currently servicing, and I might, take a picture with the GM, not for self promotion, but to bring maybe his or her story to the table, and maybe to, show the people out there, hey, you know, these people are really good people. You should consider doing business with them if you're, considering that brand, etc. Or I might even go on there because I like photography and I like to take pictures of cars, and so I'll go into their showroom and get really, you know, really focused on maybe a certain car in the showroom, and then put that out on LinkedIn, and it'll get views, and I'll even post, that car that they have for sale on in the comments. So I think there's cool ways. And the point of what I'm saying is that as a vendor, I think it's difficult, but I think as a sales rep, if you're out there like really selling, especially in the car business, man, I mean, I'm shocked sometimes when I walk into dealerships and still even the younger generation, a 20 or 25-year-old is not utilizing these platforms to let people know that they sell cars. And I've even coached some of these younger, like, man, just put the camera up and say, hey man, here are three things I don't like about this vehicle.
Yeah.
Just be transparent about it. And
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's that's some of the different ways I see it being utilized. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I love it. I think if you're on these platforms and you're just constantly trying to sell what you do, that doesn't work any better than if you go to a networking event and you walk up to someone and you're like, "Hey, guess what I sell? Let me tell you all about it." Like
Right.
it doesn't matter if you're doing that on social media or in person. Doesn't work. Let someone have a chance to get to know you first. And I think it's interesting to hear the different creative approaches you took to try to do just that. Like, hey, I'm a guy that likes to shine the light on others. Hey, I'm a guy that likes to have fun. I
Hmm.
enjoy the industry I'm in. Like, it sounds like
Probably too much fun.
you kind of identified all these threads that you want to be known about. And that to me, that's a brand, right? And so you thought, like, what are the ways that I could let people know these things about me? Because then when you want to start a conversation, people are, their guard is probably still up because they know you're a salesperson, but it's coming down a little bit more and you've got some things to talk about.
Hmm.
And so they don't feel like, well, now I know this isn't a person who's just coming at me all the time trying to sell me something.
Right.
He's actually trying to build a relationship and let me get to know him. So I should give him a chance to get to know me too. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's an awesome strategy. So tell me, like, the part that I kind of skipped over in the conversation is tell me a little bit more about, what you guys do. Tell me what Gen Z Auto does. You have, I think the audience can kind of pick up by now that you sell to dealerships.
Right.
But, explain to me what your business does and what your value proposition is.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're in the finance space, right? So that's my primary role. I'm out visiting with dealerships on a daily basis and providing them with, finance solutions. Now, it's a massive market. I mean, there's some big companies out there. And I knew that when we went out into the market, especially with some of these products that we have, we had to we had to be unique in some way because there are a lot of me out there. And I don't even look at them as competition because I'm trying to do something that is genuinely different. I think this is where Gen Z shines is we sat back over the last 4 or 5 years and really looked at some of the spaces maybe in the current industry right now that aren't being served as well. It's not that they're not being served, but in the finance space, primarily, when you look at the last 4 years in the dealership space, I should say rather, we had this high influx of used cars that were coming back into the market. And remember there was the whole chip shortage. I mean, man, so many wild things that happened over the last couple
Yeah.
of years. It's really wild. I mean, people were. I know people that had bought, brand new vehicles, put 50, 60,000 miles on them in 1 year, went back, traded the vehicle in for more money than they bought it for. I mean,
Yeah.
just think about that. Think about that. I was in the used car sector of the industry in the retail space. That was my primary role. I was a used car manager and director for 14 years, 13, 14 years. That's the exact opposite of what we knew the
Yeah.
business as, right? I mean, never did we buy a car for more money than it was worth brand new with 50 or 60,000 miles on it. But we were doing this because there was a shortage of inventory. So we created these finance solutions that really filled in the gaps, if you will, in a space that a lot of big providers don't really necessarily want to mess around with or pay attention to. Not that they couldn't, but they don't. And that's that higher risk, higher mileage vehicle.
Okay.
Um, because they're typically not reinsurable. That would go against defeat the purpose of reinsurance, right? We don't want to reinsure cars that are risky. Uh, but a lot of dealerships don't have finance options for consumers. So if they went in to buy a 75, 85, 95,000 mile vehicle, whatever it may be, the options become very limited. Now, there's some companies out there like us that are providing these similar service contracts. I mean, that's yay, yeah, competition. We need it, but I think where we differ is we have a couple of unique propositions. You wanted to know what our propositions were. We do something that limits the burden of chargebacks to dealerships because chargebacks can be a real nuisance. We also give a lot of flexibility on types of vehicles and then the mileage. For example, our service contracts rate up to 300,000 miles. So
Wow.
you can sell a
Okay.
service yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a couple of things that differentiate us, I think, right there. But our value proposition is, and our business value proposition is this: we're bringing innovative finance solutions to the industry that we feel need to change, right? Or at least are underserved, and
Okay.
that's where we're really filling in the voids.
Okay. And so would you say that your primary target is used car dealerships, or do you also work with dealerships that have like both new and used inventory?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
I've been very successful with the franchise dealerships because
Okay.
I find that their main providers, are just not really that interested in writing service contracts for riskier vehicles.
Okay. Okay. Well, what um so you kind of talked about your social media strategy personally. Is there on the company side, like in terms of like company brand marketing, are you getting good? I always call it air coverage. Like, do you get good air coverage from Gen Z Auto in terms of how they help you open doors too, and just sort of like I'll give an example. One of the things that really skyrocketed after COVID, for things you already talked, reasons you already covered, is that people do more research online now before they engage in the
Absolutely.
sales process, right? So how does the company or brand support you as a national account manager with marketing?
They give me the flexibility. That's the biggest thing. I know that there are a lot of companies that are conservative, right? I mean, they
Mhm.
don't want they don't want one of their employees posting, a video or a picture of them at their barbecue in the backyard, and that's probably not appropriate. Right? Where I work for a company that they're pretty lenient. But most of it's self driven. So I'm the one that's out there posting pictures on behalf of the company. We do have a marketing strategy in place, obviously, but as we're growing and we're trying to determine, you know, how do we market to dealer principals, to general managers without it looking again salesy or cringy? That's a difficult thing to
Yeah.
define. It's really, really hard. All right. And I certainly don't want to, I'm 50 years old. I don't want to come across as cringy or salesy, so again, I think it comes back to the flexibility my company gives me, bringing positive exposure and bringing positive light to the automotive industry, specifically the car dealerships. Sitting down, and I've done these. I've done interviews with salespeople. Hey, what are the top three things you love about the car business? And tell me about your dealership. It's kind of like what we're doing here, where it just brings a positive light to them. And I hope the end result would be, I hope that one dealer, one finance manager, one decision maker will see me doing that and see a video that I've done and say, hey, man, this guy looks like somebody I might want to, do business with. Let me check him out.
Yeah.
Sends me a message and says, hey, Michael Ballero, how you doing? I'm so on and so forth. Listen, I heard you talking about blah, 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 or took this picture. It's pretty cool. You do that. So that's what I would hope would happen, but I'm not asking for that to happen. So if it does, great. If it doesn't, it's okay. We'll keep promoting the company and keep, bringing positive light to the car business.
You are, you are a true salesperson because that's the attitude you have to have.
For
I mean,
sure. Yeah.
I think if you are curious and you just let that curiosity guide you,
Yeah.
it's such a fine line you have to balance. It's like you have a quota to meet and you have a goal you're trying to meet, whether that's your quota or just your personal goal. Doesn't matter what type of sales environment you're in.
Sure.
You're driving towards something, right? But the more curious you are about what people are challenged with and what their issues are and helping them like identify that and articulate it, it can be
Hmm.
so counterintuitive that that will then lead to the relationship that could lead, but you might have to a sale, but you might have to pursue a lot of those, and that curiosity needs to take you a lot of ways, and then you just move on if it's not, kind of picking yourself back up and brushing yourself off is really to me the key. Right?
One of the best pieces of advice that I was ever given, and I think it was my father-in-law that told me this. He said, Bolero, don't sell out of desperation, man.
Oh,
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how bad the situation is. You gotta be confident in who you are. You got to be confident in what you're offering, and you got to also realize that they're not the person you're proposing your services to. In this case, a dealer, or if they don't owe me anything. They zero. So I walk in very open-handed, as they say. Nothing to lose but everything to gain. And
Mhm.
it's over the last, 13, 14 years of going out prospecting business with car dealerships. It's really helped me out a lot because I can really walk in and out of a dealership and I'm smiling the whole way, whether it's I was told yes or no. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, they don't owe me anything, but I always try to walk out with something, whether it be a handshake. Hey, thanks for coming by. A positive reaction. It didn't work out. That's fine. No problem. Maybe we'll visit up in the future sometime. So that specific approach has worked very well for me.
Yeah. So I think I spend a lot of time, even though this is a marketing podcast, we end up spending a lot of time talking about sales and business
Yeah.
development in these meetings because they're so tied together in the B2B space.
Hmm.
Only in the B2B world, only 5% of our prospects are actually in the market for what we sell at any given time. So
Wow.
I think if you don't go in with that mindset that you're talking about, it's like you walk in the door, and unless they've told you, hey, we really need what you sell,
Hmm.
you don't know walking
All
in,
right.
right? But you kind of have to go in thinking it's 95% likely they're not going to be in the market because that's what the stats tell me, right? So any positive you can get out of it, and purely from a marketing point of view, you have a relationship now. You have somebody you can work on building a marketing relationship with. You can get your content in front of them. You can get your brand in front of them. You might have
Hmm.
videos.
Hmm.
So when they get around to being in that 5%, they already know you.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. That's big. That's still a win,
Hmm.
Unless you just got the door slammed in your face, it's a win.
And I get that question asked, Blair, how many times has someone told you to beat it or,
Yeah.
I honestly, maybe one time. And the thing is that like, even after I was treated in a way that, probably resembled that person just having a really bad day, I understood that. I walked out. I was mad. Um, because I don't think any adult wants to be, spoken to in a certain way, but it's also the car business. We're a little rough in the business, and I like it like that actually. But I made it my goal. I was like, I'm gonna get in front of this guy, and somehow, some way, and I actually did. Like a year later, this person was at another dealership, and I ran into this person, and the thing was, he didn't even remember me. And so it was so cool because I knew, but I actually was harboring it, and he wasn't even thinking about it. So actually, I think it was that day I was like, you know what? It doesn't even matter. I was losing sleep. This guy lost zero sleep over that situation,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I actually became good acquaintances with that person. So
That is so
yeah.
funny. It's
Hmm.
so it's so easy to tell yourself, don't take things personally. Very hard to
Mm.
do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Very hard to do, but it sounds like that it's kind of good you went back and you were able to break through that with
Yeah,
him. It's
yeah, a
cool.
little closure there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, talk to me about Chat GPT. We have this down as a topic, and I'm like very curious to hear where you want to take this. Like,
I know.
what do you have to say about Chat GPT?
I'm nervous. I shouldn't even have put that on there because I'm no expert. I'm like the biggest beginner. Probably a poser. I mean, and then look, my audience is like, he's got two computers behind him, and so I know zero about ChatGPT. Only what I've learned over the last 6 months. Listen, when I was 16 years old, I saw my grandfather bowling one day at the bowling alley in Miami, Florida. There was this big bowling alley down in where I lived in Miami, and we used to hang out there, and I saw him bowling, and I was like, I wonder if I can bowl. And so I found a house ball at this bowling alley,
Mhm.
and I took it with me. I got to admit, I took it with me. I actually returned it in the end, but I took it with me because it was somebody's ball that was like professionally drilled. And anyway, the point of me telling you this is that I was inspired by my grandfather to start bowling when I had no interest in bowling, but I was so intrigued by it. And all of a sudden, I found myself bowling, against people that actually knew how to bowl, and I was actually a decent bowler. So there you go. ChatGPT is like, I saw a video one time of somebody utilizing ChatGPT, and it was like seeing my grandfather bowl, and I was like, huh. This was a couple of years back. About 6 months ago, I was on TikTok and I was flipping through videos, and a young lady that goes by GPT. Cat GPT. There's a shout out for Cat GPT. I started flipping through her videos, and even though she's on a different knowledge, I mean, she's brilliant when it comes to technology. I mean, it's really fascinating what she's taught me, but it just got me interested enough to figure it out. So, all right, so let's talk about ChatGPT. First off, it's not like Google. All right, you don't just put in like, what's the top ice cream brand from Ben and Jerry's. Like you can do that, but it's a language model. It's something that basically takes the most popular words in front of and after and continues to compare them against each other. So when you're asking it, hey, I'm thinking about going into the finance and insurance space in the automotive industry, but I don't know a lot about dealer owned warranty companies and all of those things that, fall underneath that umbrella. Teach me by using first principles thinking what the most popular aspects of it are, and teach me as I've never understood it before. There's a prompt right there.
Yep.
And what it does is it scrubs the entire internet and all of the data, all the zeros and ones that are out there. And it looks for the most popular words in front of and after and continues to compare itself to it. I gave this whole introduction to ChatGPT not because I know more than anyone that's watching. I know zero, but I'm learning. And so that's what I've learned about it. So so here's what blew my mind one day. My brother sent me a video of a guy. I live up here in North Texas, in Frisco, Texas. My brother sends me this video off Twitter or X, all right? And it's a guy that's in Plano, and he's using ChatGPT because his friend challenged him to create a business from ChatGPT. Now,
Okay.
there's two subscriptions to ChatGPT. Well, first off, you can use it free, and you have credits. If you've ever played around with it,
Oh yeah.
I have the $20 subscription now because I actually use it routinely, and I'll go more into that. But I want to tell you the story because it's really really funny and cool. And then there's the $200 monthly, and you can do literally anything with that. Access accounts, you can give it access to your Facebook, all your social media, and it will literally market for you. It'll do everything you want it to do. Anything you input, you tell it to do, it will do it. So this guy gets challenged by his friend, and he's like, "Hey man, do you think you can find a business on Facebook Marketplace that's kind of underserved right now and somehow capitalize on it and make money on it without actually having a business?" And so this video goes on to show this guy, and he's kind of walking you through it, and he's telling you, you know what? I used ChatGPT to tell me that there was to search for the most underutilized businesses on Facebook Marketplace, and here's what it gave me. And so one of those was there seems to be a large number of people on Facebook Marketplace that want to just give away their pianos.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
They want to give away pianos. They have a piano in their house. They don't play anymore. They're big, they're bulky, they're heavy. What do you do with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he utilizes ChatGPT to not only figure this out, but then to determine, hey, how can I market to these people on Facebook Marketplace? Because what's the problem? The problem is that nobody wants to go and pick up those pianos for free. They want to do it for $700, $800, $900, $1,000. It's a lot of money. So knowing that those people that are trying to get rid of those pianos understand that there's going to be a fee associated with having to get rid of this piano, even though I'm giving it away for free. What if I went in at a much lower cost? And so ChatGPT not only researches the demographic in the market within a 75-mile radius of him, but then this person gives access to ChatGPT with Facebook, his Facebook account, then scrubs all of the Facebook ads of people that are actually trying to give away pianos and populates a list of those people that would fit best with this business and recommends a fee of $200. And so he then goes on to tell ChatGPT, because everything is user input. Although it is a language model, it does remember. It holds memory, so it will start to understand your tone, your emotions, etc.
Yeah.
And so that's what's cool about it. And so he goes on to basically market to every one of these people on Facebook Marketplace. ChatGPT creates the message, sends it to these people, replies back to these people, and he gets 27 yeses for scheduled pickup of their pianos in 1 week. So in one calendar week, a 5-day business period, he got 27 yeses. I think it was 2720. I don't want to exaggerate. This is a real video for $200 a pop. And he has zero business.
He's
He
like, oops, I don't
literally
have a truck.
and so yeah, so that's the funny part about the video. He's got to figure it out. But my point is that this man utilized ChatGPT to not only find a problem, but to help him discover a solution. Then with access, develop a plan, carry it out, and then actually, have an actual call to action, final product.
Yeah.
So, when I look at ChatGPT from someone like me that's in the vendor space to automotive dealerships, if you're a salesperson in the car business, if you're a marketer like yourself, which I'm, how can I utilize this AI to help me on a daily basis? Here are my points. I utilize it on a daily basis for email communication, especially to prospects, because I want to be able to give that prospect the best that I can possibly get. And I don't know as much as ChatGPT does. I understand what I want to tell that prospect, but I want ChatGPT to help me coordinate it and choreograph it better.
Yeah.
Based upon the input that I give it. This person is a C-lister, graduated with an MBA from Harvard. I tell it everything about the prospect and what I want. And it says, hey, here, look at this. And then I say, ask me 5 more questions to get a better understanding of what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. And it does. And it takes it down to a completely granular level. I take that email, I copy it, and I send it. And I cannot tell you the amount of replies and responses I'm getting now from potential prospects, where prior I wasn't. I'd like to say I was great at emails, but I guess I'm not. And I know open rates are obviously, but it's working. And
Yeah.
I'm having conversations with people that normally I wasn't able to get past that next step for. So for a guy like me, a beginner, a novice, it's been very beneficial.
That is really a cool use of it. I haven't, I mean, I've definitely heard of people using AI to write emails for them, but it's all about how you prompt it, right?
Right.
Well,
It's
and I
all the
think,
prompts. Yeah.
yeah, it's all about the prompts. I think the thing that is the most, um,
That's a t-shirt. It's
yeah,
all about the prompts.
that is a t-shirt.
Literally, you make the t-shirt, I'll market it for you. I will wear it at every dealership, and we'll just give them out to all the car guys and say it's all about the prompts.
There you
Seriously.
go. Yeah, that actually is a really good idea. Every marketer I know would buy it.
There you go.
Yeah. It's what is interesting though about there's not one person right now who's not just really sick of hearing about AI. The thing about it though is that there are so many ways to use it, and I think that's the most kind of exciting and overwhelming thing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So when people like when I said I'm really curious to hear where you're going to take this conversation about ChatGPT, it's because you could take it an infinite number
Yeah.
of directions. There's just so many different ways that you can use the tool. And I think at first people thought, oh, this will save me time, right? Time savings can happen,
Mm-hmm.
but effectiveness, right? Effectiveness, I think, is more meaningful. And that's what I hear you describing is if I'm going to send an email to this person and I have one chance to make a first impression, I really want to know that I've put time into making the best first impression. So why not use a tool to improve that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that thinking it can only be used for time savings is thinking too small. It does have that. Like we use it a lot in our agency as a tool and
Mm-hmm.
it can save time, but we're always more interested in like, did it improve the impact and effectiveness of what we were trying to achieve, whatever that goal was?
Right.
Because that's
And that's
everybody
measure.
wants results,
Yeah, results.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
a we got a chant in our house of results, results, results. Yeah. So I think it's measurable. It's measurable. I
Mhm.
mean, just simple. And like I actually take track of it. I have all my Gmails are tabbed with emails that I've sent. Utilizing ChatGPT, if you will, in this case. And I mean, if I did a spreadsheet, I can tell you, I can show you that, the click rates and the opens and the reads and the responses are they're up 60, 70%. And it's not because Mike Ballero is not capable of writing a professional email. I get in my own headspace too much. That's the problem. And I start looking at replies, and you can only read into text so much. I mean, someone can send you the word hi, and it can go a million different ways. It could be introduction, it could be hi, like anything. You know what I'm my point I'm getting at. But I think from a sales role, from a marketing role, if you're trying to broadcast your net out there and you're not utilizing, because it's free, you can use it. You can use, I think it's 10 credits a day. The things, and if you just go on YouTube or anywhere, just type it up, how to use it. And you're going to see the amazing, you can do video, you could do content, you can do pictures. I've been recently doing just random tests on it. Hey, make me a video about a pair of Air Jordan sneakers that I recently bought from this website. And it's and it'll do it. It'll give you a whole entire script
Yeah.
in 10 seconds. And the script that it's creating for you, it's giving you the most popular version of what you're asking for. So your chances of getting more noticed or more exposure, it's higher. You can even ask it to do hashtags. You name it. It will literally do whatever you want it to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's funny too when you start to build a thread that you continue building on. So it's learning what you want in that thread. It's funny how it'll give you things you didn't even ask for. And you're like, oh,
Yeah,
well, okay. Yeah, that was smart that you added that. Wouldn't even thought of that. It's really amazing. It's an amazing
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Well, so how about you had also work-life balance? I'm sure that if you have the secret of this mystery to unlock for all of us, we're all on the edge of our seat. But tell me what you want to like in terms of work-life balance. Is that an important goal for you and in your house? How do you view work-life balance?
Yeah. I think it's for a long time, like in the generation of car business that I grew up in, again, getting out in the retail space of 2012, I think that was the biggest complaint that most sales people had, or people in the business. I just always recall that being the issue. Man, I never get enough time to spend with my wife and my kids or my husband, my daughter, you name it, whatever it was. I never get enough time to spend with X, whatever that, fill in the blank, right? And it was an issue. It was a real problem. I mean, we were working 10, 12, 14-hour days, bell to bell the last week of the month, but we were making good money. We were taking care of our families. We were making a good living for ourselves. But that always seemed to be the thing, the reason why we wanted to try to get out. I couldn't understand it, but then I understood it. And in 2012, as I mentioned, when I parted ways with the person that I was working at a dealership with, like I said, I went through a real struggle. I was a challenge. And you talk about having real reflection as a man of faith. I have never cried out to my God as much as I did, because I was broken. I really was. I was absolutely and actually trying really, really hard to get a job back in the car business. And I just couldn't do it. I don't know what it was. It just didn't line up for me. But look where I'm at now. And so I look at it as a positive, right?
Yeah.
I say this to you because it was that summer that I deemed the best summer ever. We deem it in our household the best summer ever. The summer that I lost my job and couldn't find a job for 91 days and was on unemployment. We deem it the best summer ever. Why? I started coaching soccer with my son. My daughter was about to turn 12 years old, and I was getting, it was just a pivotal time, I felt, as a dad to a daughter, and having that relationship with her, and really wanting to be there more often for her. School events and functions, etc. And I was able to now, because as I mentioned, I got that job with my previous employer, and I had a 5-day work week. I mean, the first Saturday I remember waking up and like telling my wife, I'm late. And she was like, yeah, there's no Saturday meeting, honey. There's no Saturday meeting. This is big in the car business. You're in the car business. The audience will know what I'm talking about. If you're in the car business, Saturday meetings, if you show up late, you better have donuts and coffee. That's all I can say. Because you're gone if you're not. They will make it tough for you. But so I started coaching soccer, which I found to be just a beautiful, beautiful new experience. Right? Not only I was able to really tap into leadership skills that I didn't know I had, and that I was learning in the car business from really great people. But then I was connecting with my 6 year old, 7 year old son at that time, and and then again my daughter, and so I was serving in programs like Watchdogs, and then I was coaching my son, and then I started growing a really massive passion for coaching. So I went and got my USSF coaching licenses through United States Soccer Federation. I'm a Class D, and so these are nice little accomplishments that I felt like that I would have never have thought of or done before. And I was connecting with my son on a deeper level. I was connecting with my daughter on a deeper level. That work-life balance with my wife, whom I haven't mentioned yet, who's my rock. She's my everything. You know, it really the reason why I'm here right now, where I'm at in my entire life. Is because of my wife and her standing by me the whole time, and just when the commissions were low and when they were high, and we never spent more than we earned, and we're in a good situation, thankfully to her. Um, the work-life balance is everything. And here's what I learned: it really wasn't the amount of time that I was spending in the dealership and how many hours I was working, because I was doing something that I loved. If you don't do what you love, then don't do it. Simple. I'm just, that's the best answer I can give anyone. If you don't do what you love, then don't do it. But I was doing something I loved. But what I wasn't doing really great was I wasn't focusing my attention on my wife and my children when I came home from that 10, 12 hour shift at the car dealership.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to disconnect the two. I just couldn't. I wasn't good at it. And so I was a little bit more on edge. We've always had a fantastic relationship. This has been a very happy house. My children will attest to that. If they watch this video, I hope they'll give a thumbs up on it, and my wife will too. We've had a beautiful life. But when you can't give yourself the best, what happens is you start blaming it on other things. And I was blaming it on the car business. And what I found it wasn't the car business. It's Mike Ballero. And so I was happy doing my job, but I just couldn't figure out how to disconnect. And then when I got into this vendorship space, then I had more time to figure it out.
Yeah.
And putting my wife and her needs, way before mine, obviously. If happy wife, happy life, right? So it's what I believe, at least. And my children, putting their needs first. It's not perfect, but it works. And when you come to family situations like that, and you look at what do I really want out of my life, you've got to find that balance. And I'll just be open with you. I was making an excellent income as a director in the car business. Then I got the new job in 2012, and man, I went back down to something that was 20% of my annual salary or my annual income. It was hard, but my wife always kept us grounded, and we never spent more than we could afford, and so it kept things happy in the house, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't a financial burden, and so that, I think, also too, is very important. Is if you want to have that happy work-life balance, finance is a big part of that. As you know, if you're married or if you're with somebody or living with someone, so you've got to have that. You've got to have that happy life or happy workspace. I gotta love what I do. My wife's a high school teacher. She loves what she does. Mike Ballero is a car sales guy, a car guy. I love what I do. I love the people I serve. We have this unanimous feeling about the industries that we're in. Finances play that pivotal point, but then on top, the thing that leads all is love. And you gotta have your focus of your attention has to be on the love that you have for your wife, for your children, for your family, because everything else fades away. And so I really started honing in on that, and being more open with my wife, sharing more things with her about my personal life and experiences. And even though we've been married 28 years, 1998, what's my math? Yeah, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
28.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If I'm wrong, sorry, honey. But yeah, so it's been a wonderful life, but it's taken this many years, of being together, 27 years of being together, that has allowed me to reach this place as a guy that is an empty nester, and it's a beautiful journey. It really is. But I would tell anyone that's watching this video, that's 20 something, 21, building a family, it doesn't matter. You could be, and maybe you've heard it already. but you have to put your loved ones first. You have to put their needs first, and sometimes that means giving up your own, selfish desires and ambitions in order to get there. You've got to put that away first. You got to have that level of humility, like you said earlier, and serve the ones that you love and that you're with, and everything else kind of comes into play.
It does. Well, first of all, thanks for sharing all of that in terms of your personal
You're
experience and your
welcome.
perspective. Because, this is a very, I don't know the right way to tie it together, but, I have a podcast where I'm trying to help people learn more about marketing and how it ties to sales. But guess what? It's pretty tough to be successful at any of those like operational areas if you just don't have the right mindset
All right.
and your something is off kilter for you in your mindset. Work life balance is part of that. Health is part of that.
Oh yeah.
Your If you choose to be spiritual, your spirituality and your faith is part of that. And so I think it's a great component to add into this interview because it doesn't matter if you have faith or not, or if you are a runner, a weightlifter, it doesn't matter. Maybe you're a swimmer, a biker, just having kind of those different areas of your life at the right balance of health is really important. It's very hard to be sustainably successful in the fields that you and I are in unless those things are in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah. It's really crazy too when you focus on just simple basics that what you just talked about are actually very basic things and they're the hardest
Yeah.
things in life to do.
That's so true.
The
It is
hardest
so
things in
true.
life to do. But when you do them and you focus on them and you do them consistently, you are able to get so many more like rewards and gifts that you never really thought about before.
Mm.
And until you go through it, it's kind of hard to appreciate. Then you're
You
just
got that
listening.
right.
Then you're just listening to old people tell you something that sounds crazy, but it's not crazy.
It's not
It's not crazy. The earlier on in life you can really believe like what you just talked about,
right.
you're gonna find that happiness that kind of evades all of us way faster than your
Yeah.
peers.
Yeah. I have hope in this generation. I really do. I mean, I'm happy where I'm at in life, and I think things are well. I always say, I mean, this address is where everything starts. I can't affect people outside this household unless I have things in order, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think this generation, my son, my daughter, my daughter's 25, my son's going to be 19 soon. I mean, these are really, really brilliant human beings. Um, and there's a higher level of empathy. There's a higher level of sympathy. I think there's a higher level of just social understanding between us as human beings, and I think a lot of that has to do with the amount of engagement that we have like this virtually, social media, etc. We see videos, we see things that make us sad, happy, angry. We can formulate decisions much quicker than it was 20 years ago. You couldn't absorb this information at this level that we're absorbing it today.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, I'm super hopeful. I feel like this up and coming generation, as you're aiming towards, and what you were saying, to a younger crowd, maybe that's listening to this now, like you have the keys to success. You really do. You have everything you need to do what you want to do and to affect people around you at the highest level that you've ever been able to, do that. In my opinion, in the history of mankind,
Yeah.
the impact is a drop of water, creates so many ripples, and that is probably one of the most truest statements ever, I think, right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, wow. We really, so first, to add on to you hoping that your kids listen to it, I'm pretty sure my kids always listen to these too. They're just going to be like, wow, I feel like I just listened to one of my mom's lectures, Michael. Thanks a lot for that. I think
What-
it sounds like we have a lot, you and your wife and my husband and I probably have a lot of common topics that we like to talk about with our kids, which is really cool.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
But I guess I just want to thank you. I mean, you're very open and I really appreciate that, not only about the things we just talked about, but just kind of talking about how you've navigated different stages of your career
Hmm.
and everybody goes through that, right? Everyone encounters those pivot points in their career, or even if they stay in the same job, there's always changes over the longer periods of time. And so just kind of staying positive about them and always figuring out how to stay curious and move to the next thing, I think is a really important skill that gets overlooked. So
It
thanks for
is.
sharing everything with us.
No, I appreciate you, and thanks for having me on and giving me a chance to have this conversation with you. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you.
All righty, thank you.